has raised some concerns about some, expose sort of that Manasseh Azuri put out on his Facebook page. So last week, the communications minister was to address the media. And Manasseh Azuri Awuni put out some details about a 5G service contract that had been given or awarded to a company, which he said was done without, approval from Parliament and was done without adhering to the public procurement laws. And so he was asking the media to ask the minister questions on that. In fact, the minister responded to it, and now the minority is raising objections to it. We'll get into that. But also, yesterday, there was an emergency IPAC meeting that was held for the parties, and that was after the violence that erupted in Kaswa during the transfer of votes at the EC office. And so the parties met, and EC decided that based on this, they were going to stop all party agents, or they were going to ask for all party agents to withdraw from the EC office during the transfer of votes. The minority is not in favor of this because they suspect that there's some attempts by the EC and the NPP to sort of increase the number of voters within a particular constituency. So we'll get into that conversation as well. Remember, the hashtag is TV3 New Day, and you can join in as well. In the studios, I have Andrew Apia Dankwa Esquire. He is a member of the communications team for Movements for Change. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great yourself.
Well, I'm good. Thank you very much. It's good to have you in the studios. This will be the first time
certainly.
that we're meeting you
here.
I
was there last week, but...
then I didn't get to meet you. Yeah. How's everything with Movement for Change?
Well, it's going really well. In fact, yesterday, Honorable Lanche Martin was in Koforidua, and then the reception was...
What was he doing in Koforidua?
So he met some students there from the Koforidua Technical University.
I see.
Met the chiefs, met the clergy, and then organized a mini rally at the taxi rank there. Okay. So he was, and then met the market women.
Oh, I see. Is that where he said he was going to revive the city if given the chance? Because he's been talking about the city,
yes. Not just that, but he's been talking about his policies aimed at reviving the city, I think, over the past few weeks.
How does he intend to do it?
So certainly, the city issue certainly has to do with the strength of our exports and our reliance on importation. Now, if you study the Great Transformation Plan, the focus is to boost productivity and then aid exports of exports in Ghana. Certainly, when we do that well, when we boost productivity, when we're able to substitute the things we consume.
And that's how I see.
Yeah, so I think it's very central in the GTP.
Interesting. Well, we wish you the very best of luck. But also in the studio is Adele Umar. He's a member of the NDC communications team. Good morning. Good morning. Interesting choice of color today. It's not bad at all.
Thank you.
I hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Okay.
I'm good. It's been a while.
It has been a while. Where have you been?
I'm around though. It's party work. So as and when the party requires you somewhere, they just put you in there.
I see.
I'm excited to be back here today.
Well, we're excited to have you join us as well. And right. Your side has been raising objections to a lot of things. In the last couple of weeks. So we'll get into that as well. We're expecting Ebenezer Ninate, the former MP for Ablekuma Central and also a member of the NPP communications team, to join us. And so if you're close to him, let him know the show has started and he's running a little late, but we hope to see him in the studios. But before we carry on, let me just remind you, if you're tired of back pain, you have joints discomforts that prevents you from your daily activities, then I want to introduce you to Bioforce. It is the latest ointment from a leading EU lab, and it offers a range of benefits, from restoring elasticity of connective tissues to relieving muscle spasm in the back, neck, shoulders, arms, and knees, and it would also promote faster recovery from old injuries if you apply it. It isn't just a typical ointment, it's the best seller in Europe, and it's known for its unique ingredients derived from shark liver oil, providing quick pain relief just after a few applications. Bioforce is produced in Europe and delivered directly to your doorsteps within a day. If you're interested, call these numbers now: 030-824-9311, 030-824-9311, and take advantage of the promo as well. In fact, if you buy 2 Bioforce ointments now, you get 1 absolutely free. So call them again, 030-824-9311, and say goodbye to pain and hello to an active lifestyle with Bioforce. Bioforce, your healthy joints our priority. Let's get into our first story for today, And in fact, the minority in Parliament is raising issues against the 5G service contract to Next Gen InfraCo to operate wholesale 5G services in Ghana. And the opposition leader flagged the lack of value of money and fair monopoly and exclusivity, the lack of parliamentary approval, among other things, as some of the issues that have gone against the deal. So a 5G service contract was awarded to Next Gen InfraCo on August 22, 2023. It was just less than a week after the company was registered within Ghana. And we have the documents to show, just for those of you who are asking if we have exact dates to show when exactly it was registered. We'll put it up shortly, Oliver. But it says that Next Gen InfraCo, per the documents available, registered on the 16th of August 2023. And in fact, their principal activity was to build, establish, manage, and operate a nationwide wholesale shared 4G and 5G mobile and fixed wireless network, and to build, establish, manage, and operate nationwide wholesale shared 4G and 5G mobile and fixed wireless network. If you can just come down a little bit to show the date of incorporation, Oliver. If you can just come down a little bit, you'd see that it was actually incorporated on the 16th of August 2023. And we're told that just a week after the incorporation, they were awarded a contract. Now, we're going to be looking at a letter that was written from the Ministry of Communications to the National Communications Authority, giving further details on how the contract was awarded and why there should not be any other auction to get other companies to also bid for this contract. And so let's go into that right now, and I'll just read a bit of what the letter says. So that letter was written on the 11th of March 2024, and it was directed to the Director General of the National Communications Authority. And it says, this is with reference to the aforementioned matters and government policy with regards to the implementation of 5G services in Ghana. 5G spectrum will not be auctioned as done with previous spectrum allocations as a matter of policy. It will be provided exclusively to a local carrier neutral open access technology company to build a nationwide mobile broadband network for the use of all network providers and interested entities. His Excellency the President granted executive approval on the 22nd of August 2023 for the introduction of 5G through the establishment of a neutral wireless open access network to promote a vibrant telecom market in Ghana. Further, to a report presented to the President earlier that year. Approval has also been granted on 21st February 2022 for the restructuring of the telecom market. Now, let's move on to the third paragraph, and it says, drawing from the success of the shared rural telephony network and to ensure that we successfully give effect to the approved vision, Next Gen InfraCo has been set up as a career neutral independent 4G, 5G mobile broadband operator composed of local and international investors along with technology partners. It will be a wholesale open access mobile network company offering 4G and 5G services on a commercial basis. Okay, and it says the government will retain 7.5% equity, while 30% equity has been reserved for the existing MNOs. And then you move on, and it says that so there will be no auction. And I'm just moving to the last but one paragraph. Your 5G policy advisory paper with the proposed pricing has been approved for implementation with the necessary amendments as indicated here. I reiterate that there will be no auction for 5G spectrum for the successful implementation of this project, and it's been signed by the Minister, Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, who is also an MP. She was asked about this during the press conference, and she in fact gave reasons why there was a need for them to sign on or give the contract to them. In fact, she did give some indication. She says there was a need for that. And so we'll get into that conversation very shortly. But let me just go straight to our NDC communicator this morning to find out exactly what the concern is about this. What objections are they raising to this deal that was given to this company? Adele.
Bella, good morning once more.
Good morning.
To you and to our viewers. And Bella, in everything that we do, our words are supposed to be our bond. When you open your mouth and you make a claim, it is expected that you walk through that claim. Mm-hmm. it is expected that when you have an opportunity and you've spoken about things that you think were unacceptable, when you're given the opportunity, it is expected that you would do something extremely different. I'm going to read something for you.
Okay.
And then I'm going to ask you if you would remember where this came from, basically. So it says, Mr. Chairman, government should restore fiscal discipline by ensuring that we cut our coat according to our size. Revenue enhancing and expenditure reducing measures such as A, ensuring value for money in the award of government contracts through a transparent and competitive procurement process that minimizes sole sourcing. Do you remember this?
Who said this?
Restoring the Value of the City, 2014. His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay.
2014. See, we have a country where each and every one of us has a stake, like it or not. This country does not belong to His Excellency the President, neither does it belong to only me. It belongs to all of us. Take it that it is a family property, passed on to us by virtue of the fact that we're born in Ghana. When you have these kind of things happening, it becomes a problem.
How so?
First off, this is Bawumia speaking in 2014. 80% of the contracts that have been awarded under this government has been given under sole sourcing. I didn't say that, or the General said that. 80%. Aside that, when you take this contract, go back a little bit to back then when we had previously One Touch. In every market, when you have monopoly, there's a problem. Do you remember how much SIM cards were sold back then? 120 Ghana cedis. Back then, 1.2 million for one SIM card. You're awarding a contract to an entity, first of all, that is a week year old. That is one. Two, you're giving them 62.5% of voice and data of the entirety of the country, giving government 7%, 7.5%, and giving all other networks, so Tigo, Airtel, Vodafone, MTN, everybody else, giving them 30%. Again, you have indicated that no one in that contract, no other telecommunication company would have that ability to be able to sell on 5G without having to go through next gen. How is that? How is that? How sensible is this? In the issues of the sole sourcing, what the NDC is saying is that if you had even opened up, look, Bella, looking at the situation we find ourselves in today, and the current circumstances we are all having to battle with, the more dollars you have or the more money you have, the better for you. If you had opened up tender for this project, you wouldn't have made anything less than $400 million. You wouldn't have made anything less than that. Because then when we tender, we pay. It is not for free. So you're losing 400 million. You've brought in a company that is 1 week old. You have given them, entirety of 62.5% of data and voice, which, would be sold in this country. You're telling us that all other networks would have to pass through them in order for them to be able to get data and voice on 5G. How does this make any sense? How is that?
But they say that NextGen is not the only company. It says NextGen also along with the telcos and other businesses as well. So it's not just NextGen. So why are you making it look as if it's just NextGen that has been awarded the contract?
They have said that they had awarded the contract to NextGen. I'm saying that in the contract, it has been indicated categorically in the contract that all other telecommunications would not have access to data on 5G, voice and data, without having to go through NextGen. I'm asking, on what basis would you be telling us that all other networks would have to go through NextGen if they are part of the consortium? On what basis? So, I'm saying, Bella.
So if the minister says, for example, because when she was addressing the media, she said, the government of Ghana in collaboration with Ascend Ghana Digital, KNet, Radisys, Nokia Tech, Mahindra, supported by all mobile network operators in Ghana, starting with AT and Telecel, have launched with the Gen InfraCo as NG. That's what she said. So they're asking that if she said this, then how do you say that it's been given to only NextGen?
No, but the reality of the case is that I'm saying that if you take the contract, Bella, we're talking on the contract. We're making reference to the contract. The contract has indicated that, and when I have the opportunity, I'll share that with you. The contract has indicated that all other networks would have to go through NextGen. And I'm saying that if it is a consortium of all of these networks, MTN, Vodafone, why would they have to go through NextGen? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you've created a system that brings all of them on one table, you've created a system that allows all of them to have access to the same platform, why then does somebody have to go through somebody to have access to it? It's basic. Aside this, we're also talking about the fact that this is a contract that requires parliamentary approval. We don't have that too. So we're raising basic issues of the fact that when you do this, you're increasing monopoly, you're going to create problems on the 5G network. We're asking them to look and do the right thing, especially when you have indicated in the past, when John Dramani Mahama was sitting on the seat and then said that, listen, you need to do something, we need to look at value for money and all of that. You've indicated all these issues, and then when you're given the opportunity, you then decide to do these kind of things. This is not the only place that we have. Look, the violations are too much. Remember what happened with the building of the Ghana Bank of Ghana, head office? Continuous, like, they keep flouting the law like nothing is happening. Like, we're doing it in your face, you can see it, but you can't do anything. Like, it's just unacceptable. If you say that you're better off, if you say you have intelligence, if you say that you have what it takes to manage, and you have indicated that these are the things that you are going to do when you come to power, don't be seen meddling in that consistently. Unacceptable. This is our claim.
Okay.
This is our claim. We're saying that, listen, come to Parliament. Bella, the reason why you come to Parliament is so we can have a conversation. You find yourself in a constituency, I find myself in a constituency. So I have a representative in Parliament who will speak for me in my constituency, who would say, okay, you brought in the contract. The people of Ghana have looked at it. This is what we suggest. We think you should do A, B, C, D, E. Take this one out, bring this one in, open, make it competitive, do this, do that. That is the reason why you go to Parliament. You go to Parliament to allow all of us to have a say. So we're saying, bring it to Parliament. Let's have a conversation. Let's come back and look at it. Because per Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, which is Act 921, you are mandated and required to bring it to Parliament so we can discuss it. Then you wouldn't have this back and forth, and then you carry the entire country along. You have done this behind the side, and we're saying this is unacceptable. You're saying, Bella, listen, in the same thing that she is indicating, that everybody else is a part of it. You have indicated that 62.5% of the entirety of data and voice is given to NextGen. 30% is going to all other networks. What is that supposed to mean? Yeah, how is that a consortium? So if you read what she says supported by. They probably don't have a choice. So they say, okay, But I'm saying that once you do that and you indicate categorically this is the stand of government, we are saying this is unacceptable. Come back to Parliament. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a country of Kabima min Kebi. Come, let's discuss it. Let's jojo, and then come to a conclusion. As far as we are concerned, this contract is null and void. As long as parliamentary approval is not given, it is null and void. That's all we're saying. And
you're going to hold a press conference on this matter?
We will. We'll talk about it.
When?
The party is actually having, conversations around it. We'll have a presser on this. And listen, Bella, there are so many things that we'll be looking at when we come to government, inshallah, and I believe we will come to government. Some of these contracts will be cancelled. Truth is, without parliamentary approval, you can't hold it. So we're calling on NextGen as well to think about this and then reason. And say, listen, if you want to succeed in doing this, get government to come to Parliament. Insist that government comes to Parliament. Or else what we have to do, we will.
So Honorable Nenyi George Anda has written on this thing, and in fact, he was responding to Manasseh on Facebook about it. He said that the government of Ghana's decision to establish a holding company, in fact, they call it the special purpose vehicle, as a joint venture with key industry players to deploy 5G infrastructure, is a forward-thinking initiative with significant benefits. And he goes on to list them. He says, 1, cost efficiency and reduced redundancy, faster and wider deployment, because a centralized approach allows for a more coordinated and strategic rollout of 5G infrastructure, ensuring that even less profitable rural and undeserved areas receive coverage. He says it makes it more affordable for the broadband services. There's improved quality of service. It promotes competition. So he says that for him, the conclusion on this is that the establishment of a shared 5G infrastructure company by the government in partnership with key industry players is not about giving control to a single entity, but rather about creating a framework that maximizes the benefits of the 5G for the entire nation.
Better.
That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
This man used to be the deputy communications minister, and so he sort of understands this field.
I can understand.
Do you agree with this?
What is the difficulty? Again, I'm asking, what is the difficulty in presenting this to Parliament? What is the difficulty? It's basic. You're saying you're not doing anything untoward. We're saying bring it, lay it in Parliament, where everybody can actually put in and then make inputs to it, so we can come to a conclusion as to what we want to. Why are you resisting?
Okay.
Especially when you're mandated to do it. Why are you resisting?
Council, what do you make of this as well? And we're hoping that Ebenezer Ninate, he's a former MP for Ablikuma Central, representing the MPP, will be here so he can speak on behalf of the MPP, because there are a lot of questions that he needs to give answers to. So if you're close to him, or if you can reach him, please let him know that we're waiting for him so he can come and answer questions on this matter. Council.
Yeah, so good morning once again, and good morning to your lovely viewers. My view of this transaction is that it is symptomatic of what I consider to be a fundamental lack of respect for the principles of the rule of law in how this government basically handles a lot of issues that concerns the public. Because this transaction, so far as I understand it, would come under the PPP, as in private-public partnership, what's called arrangement. And we know that there's a law that governs the process, the procedures, and the principles that ought to govern transactions of such nature. The question for me is, were those principles pursued, were the processes adhered to, and is an argument that, as in beautifully put out by Honorable George Anda, would they be enough grounds for which you should violate the clear rules or the clear obligations under the PPP Act? For me, that's the issue, because see, a very dangerous precedent is being set. The object of the PPP Act, like all other laws, is to protect what's called the public and private what's called interest. And my personal view is that almost every principle under the said act has been violated by this what's called transaction. Under the PPP Act, as in transaction of such nature needs to follow certain principles. Some of these being affordability and sustainability principle, a principle of fairness and transparency, the principle of a requirement that there's what's called local content and value for money. Now, to fulfill these principles, there are requirements. There are requirements that falls under the pre-contract stage, the contract stage, and the post-contract stage. So, for instance, do we have a feasibility report study? If the feasibility report was met, did they meet the requirements of the law? Because we do know that the terms of the Act 921, reports of such feasibility must be made to Parliament.
Yeah.
Also, at the contracting stage, was proper procurement done? Because like I was talking about the principle of fairness and transparency that ought to govern transactions of this nature. Was there a proper procurement a process done?
Clearly, there wasn't any at all. I mean, single source is what was probably used at this point, because if you look at the letter, it says that there was not going to be any auction, and the contracts had been given.
So, my view is that it's a clear violation of the law. The interest of the public is being undermined seriously. The principles of the rule of law that is meant to govern the system of governance that we took upon ourselves is being undermined. So for me, it's not an issue about whether it will be profitable, the beautiful things stated by Honorable George Anda. The point is, a very bad and dangerous precedent is being set. And every single principle that ought to govern governance is being breached. And like I'm saying, it's symptomatic of the attitude of this government. As you can mention the issue concerning Brian Ichampon. So many other issues. See, it is essential that our leaders understand that when we give them public positions, they are supposed to be held or bound by a public trust, or the principle that govern a public trust. They can't do things anyhow. They can't just violate the law and say that because the transaction is good, then we should take it like that. So for me, that's my concern, and I think it shouldn't just be the duty of the minority to be raising issues. It should be the duty of every single Ghanaian to be raising issues when clearly our constitution, principles of the rule of law, that are meant to protect our interests, that are meant to protect our rights to property. You understand? Principle of fairness, transparency in governance. All these principles are being breached. Essentially, what is going to happen is that a very bad precedent will be set that will undermine the purpose for which we took upon ourselves this system of governance. And for me, that's the issue. And that's why I think that all of us Ghanaians, well-meaning Ghanaians, should rise up and speak against transactions of this nature.
Well, speaking of which, so let's head over to the vice chairman of the Communications Committee in Parliament, Honorable Cites Tete. He was asked on 3FM 92.7 if this deal came to their table as a committee before that letter was written to the NCA to go ahead and still make available whatever is required for that company to take over the 5G service contract. Now, this is what Honorable Cites Tete had to say. Listen.
My position from the beginning was that we are aware of the process, but the details as it is now, the committee has not been briefed. And I think that when we reconvene, Parliament will be duly briefed. That is my position.
The Communications Committee of Parliament is going to take this thing up when you reconvene or you resume. That's what you're saying.
We will summon the minister for proper briefing to Parliament, as we've always done.
Right, and so that is Honorable Cites Tete on this matter. In fact, joining us in the studio, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, saying that MPP will not show today, well, Ebenezer Ninate is here. He's a former MP for Ablekuma Central. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing? We've been waiting for you. We're hoping you show up. We're glad you're here.
Let me apologize for coming late. And let me thank some friends of mine who I think you said you are waiting for me, so they started calling me.
They called you?
I've had about 10 calls.
Oh, wow.
Henry Forestry Commission, Dinah, and then few people calling. Where are you? They said they are waiting for you at TV3. So,
well, at least they've managed to pull you here, so we're happy.
No, but I've changed my location, so I was stuck in the traffic. And I wasn't expecting the traffic at that stretch. So
apologies.
Yes, so
apologies.
I'm so sorry it will not happen again.
But good to have you here. And we're talking about the 5G service contract that's been given to this company, and a lot of questions are being raised. First of all, why is the president giving an executive approval for this contract? Why did we not go through the competitive tendering process as required by law? Because in this case, I'm not sure that there was really a special need for them to give this contract to this company in particular. So if you can give us details as to why we're at this juncture.
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to our viewers and those also watching us on social media as well. 5G. The question we need to ask ourselves, what is 5G? And we all know that we are in a technological era. We have had 2G, 3G, then 4G. Currently, as I'm speaking with you, we are operating on the 4G. The 4G is owned by government, and then MTN, one of the leading telcos that we have in this country, bought it because government put on share in 2015, 9 years ago. Currently, as I'm speaking with you, the coverage or what MTN has been able to do, we have only benefited 15% of it. Now, government is advancing that, look, let's go in for 5G. And this time around, we are not going to sell the 5G to any telcos or any institutions whatsoever, but rather we are bringing everybody on board. That whether I'm not doing adverts for any other telecommunication agencies, either Tigo, whatever it is, they can all be on the same Airtel,
Tigo.
They can all be on the same platform of benefiting. Because if for 9 good years, the only thing that we are benefit is 15%, why then do we give you another 5G that we will not benefit as expected as a government? So government said, look, let's make it open. let's bring all the telcos together. Let's everybody contribute and let's everybody owns it.
Okay.
It is not a matter of government selling his shares to anybody, but everybody is owning it. Everybody benefits from it, and by so doing, you have other international telcos coming together or coming to operate in this country. Nokia has shown interest. Other people have shown interest to also come. At the end of the day, it will be benefit to the entire country, but not that somebody will have a monopoly over, he control everything. No. So for me, I don't think that this is an issue that people will turn it to be as if that government is doing something which is not supposed to.
But if you look at the letter and the fact that even Gen InfraCo was registered a week before this contract was handed to them, and then for some reason we're told that the president gave executive approval on the 22nd of August for the introduction of this 5G.
What are they supposed to do?
Hold on. How did you arrive as a ministry at Gen InfraCo? Did you give it up? Did you open it up for other companies to bid?
No. The question is, what are they supposed to do? They are not the people to operate the system.
What are they supposed to do?
It's a consultancy that they'll be given. It doesn't matter the number of days and number of months and number of years that they have been in operation. There are some people who have the knowledge about how do you call it? Some of these how do you call it? Consultancy. So if the person have the experts of it and the person is able to do what is expected of government, I mean,
I don't get what you mean, because if you look at the incorporation documents, this is a law firm.
Yeah.
That has now been registered, as Gen InfraCo.
Yeah.
So if you say they have the experience,
no, what I'm saying is that it does not matter. It does not matter whether they have been in existence for 1 week or 3 days or 1 month or 1 year. We are talking about whether they have the capacity, whether they have the knowledge to able to be the consultancy as we are expecting them to do.
So how do you judge that based on 1 week of registration? So let's say I suddenly decide to register a company and say I'm a contractor, and then within a week I get a contract from government.
People even register a company within 2 days. People register companies and they got contracts within 2 days.
Prior experience as a contractor. So how do I win an award in a week?
I mean, you may not have experience of building a houses, but if you are having a contractor to come and build, or you have a consultancy and you have people that have experience that you are patching them to do the work. So for me, I think that yes, they have been in existence for a week, a month, 3 days, whatever it is. What we need to ask us, are they capable to give us value for money? Are they capable to do what we are expecting them to do?
How do you judge that?
If you are not giving the person the opportunity, how will you know that the person can do it or not?
So this is a try and error thing.
It's not a try and error thing. I'm telling you that if you are not giving the person the opportunity, how will you know that he'll be able to do it or not?
So it's try and error.
It's not try and error.
So how would you know if they can do it or not? So it's only when you give them the contract.
When they start work, we'll see whether they are capable or not.
So that is try and error.
What do you mean by try and error?
No, but you're saying that you
I'm saying that when they give them the opportunity, and they are doing it, we'll see whether they can able to do it or not.
So if they are not able to do it, we've lost money.
In what way?
If they are not able to do it, we are losing money.
In what way?
Are we not going to pay them as consultants?
Yes, we are going to pay them as consultants. And I believe strongly that in the wisdom of the ministry, they don't think that these people will not be able to do the work. So for me, I personally don't see anything wrong with it. Personally.
You don't see anything wrong with the fact that they didn't go to Parliament. You were here when we played cites audio, where he says that even though they had heard about it and were aware of it, the details had not come to the committee.
When was this?
He spoke on Thursday or Friday on radio, actually, 3FM 92.7, and he said that as at that time, nothing had come to the Communications Committee in Parliament for them to even deliberate on this matter. Yet there's a letter that's been sent to the NCA.
I'll be surprised if this has not been sent to Parliament and the committee is not in known of this. I'll be surprised.
But Slighteta is the vice chair of the committee.
That's why I'm saying that I'll be surprised, because ideally it has to go to Parliament.
It hasn't been to Parliament.
That's what I don't know about it. I will not come and sit here and pretend that I know. What I'm saying is that.
But you are hearing from the vice chair of the committee.
When I got here, you were playing somebody's voice.
But that's what I'm telling you now. That's
so you can play it for me to hear again.
Well, let's pull it up again. So Honorable Sly Tete is the vice chair of the Communications Committee in Parliament, and Beatrice asked him on radio if this had come to the table for the Communications Committee to deliberate on it. This is what he had to say.
My position from the beginning was that we are aware of the process, but the details as it is now, the committee has not been briefed. And I think that when we reconvene, Parliament will be duly briefed. That is my position.
The Communications Committee of Parliament is going to take this thing up when you reconvene or you resume. That's what you're saying.
We will summon the minister for proper briefing to Parliament, as we've always done.
You heard him?
I heard him.
He said, we are aware.
But they have not been
We
briefed.
are aware.
No, he says they are aware, but they have not been briefed.
Yeah, so,
what does brief mean?
No, I'm saying, he said,
supposed to get the
we
details
are
in
aware
Parliament.
of such a contract, but it is yet to come to the committee. And your reporter asks him. So if the minister is not able to do, what are we going to do? He said, we are going to bring him to come and face the committee.
But the contract
so
has already
does not
been
mean that they are
awarded.
not aware of it.
But the contract has been awarded.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
What?
But if the contract has been awarded and you have not passed through the right proceeding, now he's telling you that, look, we will summon the minister to come and appear before us. That's exactly what he's saying. He didn't deny that they are not, the committee is not aware. He didn't deny it.
He says that they are aware
Yes.
of something like that, but it has not come to the committee.
Exactly.
And you are saying
So-
that there's nothing wrong with the minister awarding a contract without getting approval from Parliament first?
No, please. What I'm saying is that the vice chairman of the Committee of Communication, who is currently the Deputy Minister for Information, he's saying that the committee is aware that this is what government and the ministry is going to do. They are aware of it. He has not denied the facts. And he's saying that the minister has not brought it to the committee.
Okay.
And the reporter asks him, so if the minister has not brought, what are you going to do? He said, we'll summon the minister to bring it to the committee.
But that's what I'm saying, that the contract has already been given. Per the letter that was written from the Ministry of Communications to the NCA, they said, go ahead and do whatever you have to do.
I have not seen that letter. If you have the time, you can share with me.
Okay, I'm going to read it for you. It looks like this morning you haven't seen anything. Everything that I raised, you haven't seen it, you haven't heard it. So let me just read. And if we can put this letter back. If we can put this letter back.
You raised about slight issue.
And I played it for you.
Yes, and you played it. And he said that we have heard it.
He says they are aware, but it has not been tabled.
Exactly.
They have not been briefed. The right thing is to brief, not for me to hear it somewhere when I have not seen the documents. Now you
So how did they get the information?
Hold on. So on the 11th of March 2024, again, I'm going to read this letter. The letterhead is Ministry of Communications and Digitalization. It was directed to the Director General of the National Communications Authority. And it says, neutral InfraCo spectrum allocation for 4G and 5G. This is with reference to the aforementioned matters and government policy with regards to the implementation of 5G services in Ghana. 5G spectrum will not be auctioned as done with previous spectrum allocations as a matter of policy. It will be provided exclusively to a local carrier neutral open access technology company to build a nationwide mobile broadband network for the use of all network providers and interested entities. His Excellency the President granted executive approval on the 22nd of August 2023 for the introduction of 5G throughout the establishment of a neutral wireless open access network to promote a vibrant telecom market in Ghana. Further to reports presented to the President earlier that year. Approval has been granted on 21st of February 2022 for the restructuring of the telecom market to reduce the dominance of one operator and progressively work toward the lowering of data charges. Drawing from the success of shared rural telephony network, well, let me even jump to the next paragraph. It says, Gen InfraCo will be a wholesale open access mobile network company offering 4G and 5G services on a commercial basis on a shared infrastructure for MNOs, ISPs, and MVNOs who will deliver voice and data services to end consumers. The government will retain 7.5% equity, while 30% equity has been reserved for the existing MNOs. You go to the final paragraph and it says that your 5G policy advisory paper with the proposed pricing has been approved for implementation with the necessary amendments as indicated here. I reiterate, there will be no auction for 5G spectrum for the successful implementation of this project. What does this mean?
So in the letter that you just read, did he say that the award has been given? Is the President has given approval?
Gen InfraCo will be a wholesome open access mobile network offering 4G and 5G services on a commercial basis.
We want to do A, B, C, and D. We need an executive approval to go ahead to do A, B, C, and D. Approval has been given. Go ahead, go and do A, B, C, and D as you have said. And then government have said, look, we are not going to do what? Sell it. But rather, we are going to own 75% of it.
Huh?
70% of
government,
it.
7.5 is not 75%. It's 7.5. It says to ensure, in fact, kindly invite Next Gen InfraCo to present the overall technology architecture, business plan, and network deployment plan. What does that mean? So from what you have just read, right? It says you should invite them. Give all A, B, C, and D that you are talking about. I mean, what does that mean?
What shows that approval has been given?
But I just read it to you. Are you refusing to accept it? That Next Gen InfraCo will be a wholesale open access mobile network company offering 5G and 4G services on a commercial basis as a shared infrastructure to MNOs, ISP, and MVNOs who will deliver voice and data services to end consumers.
Yes.
And it says, invite Next Gen InfraCo to present the overall technology architecture,
yes,
business plan, and network deployment plan.
Invite
and then it says there will not be any auction.
Invites them.
What does that mean?
It says invite them.
Give their business plan
Exactly.
and everything. So what does that mean?
So if the person have shown interest and he wants to do this, he said invite him and let him bring everything.
There will be no auction.
There will be no auction. Yeah, but I've said that there will not be any auction because there has been a previous auction in 2015.
Huh? I'm sorry, you're confusing me right now.
By who saying? I'm saying that
Evan, the contract has already been awarded. So we've moved from there. So where we are now, a contract has been awarded to Next Gen.
Why are you defending everything?
Without recourse to due process.
Have you people finished?
I didn't know you like
land, gentlemen, you let him land. I'm still trying to understand what he means.
Have you people finished? Okay.
I'm listening.
What I'm saying is that government is owning majority of the shares. Government have decided that, look, going forward, the experience that we have encountered in 2015, we will not want to go through those experience again because we don't want one person to hold the monopoly of it. And therefore, everybody is coming on the same platform. All the telcos will be on it. Other international telcos are also showing interest to also be on it. And so therefore, it will not going to be somebody, one person owning it. I don't see anything wrong when government says that let's bring everybody on board and let's not have a monopoly over it. And
let's let Next Gen InfraCo be the one to distribute the 5G, 4G.
And what is wrong with it?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
So sourcing. There's nothing wrong. Was there an emergency?
No,
because look, listen. If you look at the law,
sourcing is a crime or it's wrong.
It is not wrong, but it says that under the Public Procurement Act, public procurement must be carried out through a competitive bidding process, except in limited circumstances when the use of alternative procurement methods is justified. Is this justified in this case, sole sourcing? How do you justify sole sourcing for this company in particular?
How do I justify sole sourcing? When you talk about sole sourcing, if you want to do a project and government see that, Bella have the capacity, have the resources, have everything to enable him to do the project, governments rely on the person to do it.
And the former president had said, in fact, the president now has said that sole sourcing will be a thing of the past. He said it when he was campaigning for power.
You were asking.
No, I'm asking that. Exactly. No, I'm saying that how is sole sourcing in this case justifiable? Are there not other companies that could have also bid for this contract?
And did we have other companies bidding for it that they were refused?
But you didn't allow it. You said there was not going to be
if you are talking about sole
auction.
sourcing, it's restricted that you are giving to this person.
But the minister herself stated in that letter that there will not be any auction. So that means that you had even closed the bidding process for any other company to even bid for this contract.
Yeah, because they are doing sole sourcing.
Why? So that's what I'm saying, that can you justify why there was a need for sole sourcing in this particular contract?
Because maybe the minister think that they have the capacity to do it, and therefore they give them the opportunity.
So wait, so you gave them the contract before you are asking that NCA calls them to bring their business plan. How does that even work?
In the letter that you read that the president stated, he said, let them bring their business
plan.
plan.
You award a contract before you ask for business plan?
But if you don't have the person's business plan, how would the person execute the job?
Yeah, but I'll ask for your business plan, go through it before I decide to award your contract. I don't do the reverse of it. Or?
But if I award you the contract and I said bring your business plan, and you bring your business plan, and I realize that your business plan cannot be conformed to what I want.
So on what basis were you awarding the contract? Because this is a 1 week old company. So on what basis did you award the contract?
It is not a matter of days.
Let's leave it. So on what basis was this contract awarded? Because if you're now asking the NCA to call them to bring their business plan, then what made you give the contract to them? There must have been something. What is that something?
I don't know about that one.
Bella.
Adele.
Listen, this issue of sole sourcing is a bit worrying for me. And I can understand why Nate is, struggling this morning. You see, I'm coming. The UK, the United Kingdom, who happens to be way ahead of us, okay, allows auction in their telecommunication. The last one I can talk about is the EE Limited, Telefonica, Hutchison 3G UK Limited. Vodafone itself participated in that auction. It made the UK government £1.3 billion. Bella, let's leave. That is outside. That is Western. Let's come to Africa. Rwanda, India here. India went through an auction that lasted almost 7 days. Please.
You said let's come to Africa, but you mentioned India.
There's Rwanda too, but let me handle India. I'm coming back. India auctioned within a 7-day period. They made 1.5 trillion rupees, which is equivalent to $18.99 billion. They had Reliance Jio participating, Adani Group participating, Bharti Airtel participating, Jio emerging as the leading one who basically took it. They made 18.99 billion. What are you doing? What is this? You're shouting.
So you want that to sell it? Is that what you are saying?
Can you let me flow? Nothing. We're here. We're struggling. We're looking for money. Our city has gotten to 15 point what? You can't auction. Nothing. You're sitting here. You're telling me that it is okay that if you invite me into your house to come and work for you and build you a skyscraper, you will not be interested in knowing whether I've built other skyscrapers before. You're not interested. You don't want to know whether I will build it and the pillars will be turned upside down for people to die. You're not interested. You would want to award a contract, and I say, oh, don't worry, I've awarded, even though it is binding after you have awarded it. So if he brings you the business plan and it's already binding, what would you do if you can't honor it? Again, Bella, listen, the consortium that is handling this whole thing, the special purpose vehicle, is being led by Accent Digital. Do you remember what happened with the Smart Workspace program? During the COVID period, all those issues that happened. Let me read. There was a story by City. Let me read this for you. Smart Workspace program. It says what? Of the many murky projects overseen by the Communications Ministry in recent years, none is murkier than the so-called Smart Workplace platform that was called out by the usually pliant Public Procurement Authority as representing an abuse of the sole sourcing method of procurement. It went on to say that other investigators have noted how $8 million, how $8 million authorized by cabinet for use in building smart workspaces as a remote working solution for public sector workers during the COVID-19 pandemic eventually ballooned to over $31 million. It went on to say the company at the forefront of this magical spectacle, Smart InfraCo, is an Accent Digital entity. This is the company Esla uses almost all the time. Why? We're saying, so the same Accent Digital, so today you have, how do you call it? Next Gen. You have Next Gen InfraCo. The leading person or leading company in this is Accent Digital. Accent Digital has been the hatchet that has been used over the time. What we're asking you is that special vehicle, that's a special purpose vehicle that you have constituted, what is their capacity in what you're giving them? Tell us. What is their capacity? What have they done? Nothing. Which one have they done before? Which one have you seen? Which one have you monitored? On what basis? But you see, it's a beautiful thing, Bella. Alhaakum mutakathir. Hatta zaltum. I'll bring you. Hatta zaltum al-makabir. Kalla sawfa ta'lamun.
Is that Arabic, by
That's
the way?
Arabic. That's Arabic.
Okay, what does it mean?
Okay, so al-hakum
Take your time. See how you are briefing. Just take your time.
This is how I am. Forgive me, okay? Al-hakum at-takathur. Hatta zaytum, they are busy. Piling up. This is what they're doing.
They are busy piling up.
They're busy
That's
piling
what
up.
said. Piling up what?
What else? It's like all the rot, every corner, everywhere, anywhere they can make money, they're just busy piling up. So you can sit down in a country like this and then $2 million will be gone. SkyTrain money is gone. You know, you can sit down in a country and then $127 million. The entirety of Ghana, you're carrying our spectrum and giving it to one consortium at $127 million for 10 years, Bella. You're piling up until you enter the game.
For 10 years, when they don't even have any experience.
It doesn't even make sense.
And you listen to Nina here, he says that if you don't give them the contract, how will you know what they can do? But we've locked them down for 10 years.
It doesn't even make sense. That's why I said that. So you have awarded the contract. You have signed it. It is binding. It's over. It's done. Then now you say, bring your documents. Let me see whether you're actually qualified to do it. So if he brings it and he's not qualified, then what do you do? It doesn't make any sense. We're saying this is why you're supposed to come to Parliament. This is why you bring it to Parliament, so we can have a conversation and then we can... Rwanda here is auctioning. You sit here and you say, oh, we want to be like in the UKs and want to be the Americans, but you're not doing what they do. Look, a typical example, and I'll end with this, Bella. If we don't change the way we do things in this country, we'll have a problem. The least we'd expect is for the MPP to do better. Look, we are fighting to be better. Every time a government comes in place, we pray that we do better than what we did before. It's a learning process. But don't come in, don't accuse us, man. You know nothing. You don't accuse us of things. So sauce and Bawumia said, and I read this earlier, that listen, we need to do things differently. In 2014, restoring the value of the city, he said we needed to minimize soul sourcing. Where is he? This is unacceptable.
Let me bring counsel in so we can move on to our next topic. I mean, you've listened to Nina Te. He's just telling you that there's really nothing wrong with it.
In fact, it's really disappointing. As in, that is my big brother, but it's really, really disappointing and unacceptable. Like I said earlier, clearly is a massive lack of this disregard for due process. As in, now they claim that the cost over the 10 years period is $127 million. How did they arrive at that? How did they arrive at it? Because my thinking is that the obligation on them to have a feasibility report and then seems submitted to Parliament is to ensure that at the end of the day, some form of questioning is had on the value that they want to sell the assets, all with the aim of protecting the interest of the public. Also, you see, what we should realize is anything the government does, he's doing it on the behalf of the people of Ghana. And so if he enters into a deal which does not represent value for money, if he enters a deal where there's clear lack of a subjection to due process, then what he's doing is that he's violating a promise he made, a promise to protect the public purse, because then he is undermining all of our interests. You understand? And then beyond that, he's also undermining this system we have created, whose focus is to protect not just our lives and our liberties, but also our properties and our right to pursue our own happiness. And it is very disappointing that a government that prides itself in being the repositories of all these values, liberal democratic values, all these values would can have the audacity to sit on set and tell people that, listen, we did not follow due process, and we didn't open the system up for tender, because then when you have opened the system up for tender, then you have the best chance of assessing various programs and getting the best team. But if you say you are going to do essentially that's what you are saying. You understand? You are saying that you are going to subject our whole 5G spectrum. You understand? In a time when we are talking about the fourth industrial revolution, when we are talking about driving a digital economy, a time where we are talking about bringing real financial inclusivity because of MOMO, and then one of the most critical infrastructure that we need to undertake this radical transformation, you want to subject it to Matra, then clearly you have no moral right to even put yourself up for leadership, because then you don't understand what leadership is. You understand? And so for me, I think, like I said, it's not just, you see, it's not just the duty of the minority to be holding this Koshoko leadership.
The Kufuor government
it's the worst leadership I've ever seen.
Which you came from.
I think I voted, I campaigned for in 2016. But I'm a Ghanaian. When I voted and campaigned for Nana Addo in 2016, it was based on a belief that he had commitment to fulfill his promises. And I'm not shy to say I campaigned for him. But when I campaigned for him, it was based on a belief that he was committed to the beautiful programs he spoke about. But clearly he's shown that he has no, and for me that's even worse than being incompetent. You see, it's worse where your problem is a clear lack of commitment. It is worse where your problem is premised on, forgive me, on something akin to fraud. You understand? When you tell me you do A and you come and you are doing Z, then it is fraud. You understand? So for me, I'll call on Ghanaians that clearly, if you take everything that has happened, and I mentioned the Brian Echampo issue, which clearly is a lack of appreciation of the duties that are placed on public officials, a duties that is premised on the public trust that's created, that's placed on you. If you take the Galamsey issue, so the fact that the person in whom has been created a trust over natural resources will sleep and allow party apparatus to undertake Galamsey and destroy our environment. Clearly, then there's no commitment to give a leadership. And I'm saying that it's the duty of every Ghanaian, including Nati, including MPP supporters, because at the end of the day, we are Ghanaians first. We are Ghanaians first, and it's all of our duty to fight and protect the integrity of this country, because it is being destroyed.
Okay. Well, let me just read a few messages. Some of you are asking that we call the Honorable Minister Eslo Usu-Kufu, and some of you are saying she will not pick up. We'll try. If she does, why not? If not, we'll move on. But a number of you are quite shocked at the submissions of Honorable Nate. In fact, let me see if I'll just... There was one that I had picked up. There's someone who was saying that when you finish your degree, after service or whatever, when you apply for a job, they ask you for 4 years, 5 years experience before you can get a job. In fact, I found Lisa now Kankwama says a regular job in Ghana that pays 1,500 cedis take home will be asking for 5 years experience. Just imagine a whole contract given to a company with 1 week long experience. God help us, because at this point as a youth, our blood is boiling. Well, let's move on now. And Gabby says that why is it difficult for the NPP government to understand this simple logic? This country is not their personal property. Every decision they intend to take on behalf of this country must pass through the Parliament of Ghana. The rot is becoming too much. Kudos to Comrade Adele.